How's that
That's
for a
great.
bio?
I think that's
That is
great.
great.
Thank you. Thank you, Sharon, for reading your own bio because we were so unorganized. No, we
And by the way, I'm Therese Honey, and welcome to everybody. Kimberly's not here today, so it'll be myself and Mary hosting, and Mary's just started recording. I heard that little notification. And Sharon is going to talk about anything that she wants to talk about, but she's really going to focus right now on how to buy strings. I have to say, as a teacher, I have to make this all about me, but I was always real vexed. I'd roll my eyes at my adult learners that would uh, not be able to tie their string knot. And I was like, oh my God, it's the easiest thing in the world. How come you can't do it? And then I realized, oh, nylon strings don't break that often. They don't break as often as gut strings. And I started out, I was with a lever harp, but got a pedal harp when I was a kid. And my mother was a light sleeper. And in the middle of the night, if a gut string broke, she would wake her up and she'd say a cuss word because she knew it was expensive. And back in the day, ordering strings, she had to fill out a form, a chart. She had to write a check, mail it to New York City, and then that string seller would cash the check, or deposit the check, wait for it to clear, and then send the strings to it. So it was weeks before we would get it, especially if he was waiting for a shipment of strings, gut strings, from Europe. And so it was a big deal. And so people are not, especially adult learners, are not used to tying that string knot. And if you're a knitter or a crocheter, that's how you start every project, with a slip knot, which is basically what you start with. However, there are many other different ways to tie string knots nowadays. So there's not only one way. So Sharon,
Yes.
over to you.
Okay, thank you. I'd love to do a workshop on string tying and all that, because that's a whole nother topic that can be
Yes, exactly.
easily accessible. And also on tuning your harp, some easy things to know about tuning your harp. But anyway, what we're going to do today is about buying harp strings and making sure that you get the right strings. And Bari, I just barely saw your email, and I'm so glad that you got the strings. And I see the issues that you were having about figuring out which strings were what, but it seems like you got it.
Well, I got the strings. It's the Vanderbilt. I still don't know what's what. My husband is.
Well, if you just look at the numbers that are on the string packages, the numbers go up. So 105 is the lowest. That would be the B. Then the next one is 108. That would be the A. Do you see what numbers I'm talking about?
Yeah, 105, 108. Okay.
Okay, so we're skipping ahead. We'll get to that because I actually have some strings to show. Okay. So I know that you all may have a lot of questions about strings, and I may not have all the answers, but I'll do the best I can with the knowledge that I have. And my the reason that I wanted to do this workshop, a couple of reasons. One is that we are sort of going into retirement, as so many other harp makers that have been around for so long are going into retirement. And you have their harps, and you may not be able to get in touch with them when you need a string. So you need to know how to order that string from the string vendors that are available to us. And now that's also something that has changed recently. Robinson's Harp Shop is no longer in business, and Vermont Strings is no longer in business. So we have Markwood in Oregon, and we have Eric Stallings North Shore Strings in Massachusetts. And those are the only two big, like, resale, or what can I say, retail stores that I know of. I know that you can get strings at Atlanta Harp Center, Virginia Harp Center, Melody Music, and there's probably other string shops that sell strings, but they may not have exactly what you need, particularly in the bass wires or wound nylon, because harp makers have made their own designs and created their own formula, I guess, for their strings. So like we have Thormahlen bass wires on our harps, and I don't know that anybody else uses our bass wires on their harps. Dusty Strings has bass wires, and they use whatever they make them out of. I think they make them out of, I think I have it here on my, where is it?
It's a phosphor bronze core that they use magic markers to color with red and blue. And then it's they've got it horizontally wrapped.
Right, with nylon wrap. They use bronze with nylon wrap and a steel fiber stainless, and on some of their harps, a steel fiber stainless steel wrap, where we use a steel core with fiber fill and a silver plated copper wrap. So, you know, it's all over the map for bass wires, and wound nylon kind of depends on what base, you know, what filler you use, with what gauge, and then what gauge you wrap it with. So they're all different. But so the things that you're going to need to know when you order strings, and I have a handout here, you will all get it. I guess I could, should I screen share it now?
If you want to, sure. If you want to talk first, that's fine also.
All right, let me just talk first.
Yeah, good idea.
And then you won't be distracted by the paper. So the things you need to know are the kind of string that you have. So if you have nylon or gut or fluorocarbon, and then, and in gut, whether you have lever gut or pedal gut. And there are some other kinds of strings that I'm not as familiar with, which are like Sapiro and Kirschner, which I'd never heard of until recently, and Aquila, which I guess are Nylagut strings. And I just don't know that much about those strings. And somebody was asking me if they could use those strings on one of our harps that's got fluorocarbon. And I told them that they probably could. I don't think that one or two strings is going to, you know, ruin a harp if you change to a different kind of string. Although you might need to regulate that lever depending on the way the string works on your harp. So, okay, so there's the kind of strings. You need to know the note name and the color. So if it's a string number 14 and it's an F, so you need to say that it's blue. That would make it real clear to the person that you're getting an F string. You need to know the octave, and that's probably one of the hardest concepts on our harps to get. Let me just go to that part. So on the piano, the lowest strings, or the lowest keys, are C1. So that means that the C is C1, which is the first octave. And on harps, our C1 is at the top, if your harp goes up to C. So that's one confusion. On the piano, it's octave 8 in the high strings. This is what I think happened with the numbering system on our harps, is that I think that there were harps that went up to E above the C that your 36 string harp goes to. And so they called that string number 1, and that started the first octave. So E starts the octave, not C. The octaves change between F and E. So this is a 34 string harp, so I have an A up here. So my top 3 strings are the only first octave strings that I have on this harp. And my E starts the second octave. And that's very clearly marked on the lever gut or pedal gut strings that you get, and not so much on the fluorocarbon, on the Savarez fluorocarbon. That's a whole different thing. I'll get to that in a minute. So the octaves change between F and E, and F and E. So here we go, F and E, and then that's the first octave, and then we have the second octave, third octave, no, second octave. See, I'm even getting confused. And then the third octave, and our middle C is the fourth octave. And that's a good thing to remember, that middle C is C4. That way you can always kind of count back up or down where you want to go with that. Let's see. So there are harps, and some of you may have harps that go up higher than the E that was up here. And that they start with a 0 octave. And I don't know how many harps go up to 0, 0. Are there some, Mary?
Pedal harps do.
Concert
Many
band-
pedal.
concert
Go up
band
to,
pedal
they
harps.
go up that high?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and I think,
So-
Sharon, that you were correct when you said that the reason that pedal harp octaves start with E is because the early pedal harps, the highest note was E. So
Yeah.
that's why they just didn't go any higher than that. So you're absolutely correct on that. I don't know if that's true or not, but the old pedal harps I've seen, the highest note was E.
Well, so we'll just have that be our truth. Okay, so let's see. Octave 6 to make things. All right, so here's one of the things that make this all even a little more confusing, is that the Savarez Alliance strings, they do the octave. So the top string here on my harp, the A or the G, they're both the same string, has a 0 octave. I don't know if you'll be able to see that, but up right here, it says 0 octave. So that is our first octave. And I don't know why they have made that to be the 0 octave. But luckily enough, they do switch between F and E. So at least that's consistent. So then here's the first octave E in there. But for me, this would be my second octave E. They don't have string numbers on here, but the let's back up just a minute to the lever gut.
And Sharon, while you're getting that, I just want to, you said something that your A and G were the same in lever harps. Okay, you know, I owned Melody's Traditional Music for 31 years, right? And I just have a story to tell. Long time ago, someone called, and you know, I answered, Melody's, this is Mary, and the woman said, I need a string. I'm
Yeah.
okay, what kind of harp do you have? What kind of string? She said, gut, which was the Texas way of saying gut. That's all she knew. She needed a gut string. She didn't know what kind of harp she had. It was very frustrating. So, but one thing that is really important to know on lever harps is that, for example, some strings have the same gauge, like
Yes.
A, B, and C may all be the same gauge. So you don't necessarily have to differentiate, but you do have to know the gauge and the color. So 0.028 clear might be a G and an A on your lever harp. So it's very important to know that.
Yes, that is good. On our nylon string harps, we always did 3 and 3 and 3 and 3. And it kind of went down like that, made it a little bit easy. But here is what the gut strings now have a new packaging, but maybe you're familiar with this packaging. And you'll see that is, this is an E, second octave. Does it say that, second octave? Yeah, second octave, right there in the middle. And it says it's number 8. So on this harp, it's obviously not number 8. It's number 1, 2, 3, 4. And on a 36 string harp, your E is number 6. But on the package, it says number 8 because they are counting from that E above that C. That's the highest string on your 36 string harps. So from that, it would be 1, 2, and then C would be 3, B would be 4, A would be 5, G would be 6, F would be 7, and E would be 8. So that's something to know, that when you look at a package like this, that you need to look at the note name and the octave. And depending on whether you have a 34 string harp, this is gut, 34 string harp, it would be 4 strings off. And for a 36 string harp, it's 2 strings off.
And then to further confuse you, they have the solfege, E or mi.
Oh, yeah, right.
That's,
Oh, it's not on. Oh, yeah, they do. E equals me. Yeah. This is the new packaging for Lion and Healy, for Bow Brand. And what's really confusing here is this up here. So they've got, I think it's kind of nice for some people to know that this could be used as an E lever harp string or a B pedal harp string. But if you're, just kind of sifting through your strings, you may not notice that one is lever and one is pedal. And some of them don't have the other thing on it. I don't know if I can find it quickly. Let me look here.
and then, the other thing is that, oh, I forgot what I was going to say. Oh, some of the Lion and Healy lever harps don't use lever harp strings. They use pedal harp strings. And so you have to know that
Right.
as well. And because we have so many
Mhm.
people that, they have a Lion and Healy prelude, it's a lever harp, and they place an order for lever harp strings. And that's why Nick always asks, well, what kind of
Yeah.
harp do you have? And has to correct, you want to send people the right strings so that it's not frustrating.
Yeah. So here's another thing that Lion and Healy did. On this package, the lever gut is on this side and the pedal gut name is on this side. And on this package, the pedal gut name is on this side and the lever gut is on this side. How could they make that more confusing to anybody? I just couldn't believe that when I saw that they had done that. So that's about gut. Does anybody have any questions yet?
Well, I
Let's
think,
say about this part.
I want to say, is that Lion and Healy that did that, or was that the Bow Brand?
No, I think it's Bow Brand.
It's
Bow
Bow
Brand did it.
Yeah.
Yeah. And they raised their rates. They raised their prices so that not a whole octave is the same price. It's like these 4 strings are one price and these 3 are another in one octave. And it made my bookkeeping just go crazy. Anyway, I just think they are making it more confusing than it's possibly could be. So with the fluorocarbon strings, I think they have, let's see. There's 2 packaging things here. There's this packaging. And I don't know if all the strings, I don't know how you know what you're going to get when you get them from Lion. These are from Lion and Healy. And the KF, even though you think that means carbon fiber, it does not, because these strings are not carbon fiber. They are fluorocarbon. And carbon fiber is a hard material that Heartland makes their harps out of. I'm sure a lot of you have a carbon fiber harp. That is not the same thing as fluorocarbon. The only explanation I have of what that KF means is that when I was researching fluorocarbon strings, I learned that they were developed and invented, I guess, in Koreha, Japan. And they called them Koreha fluorocarbon. And so that's my explanation of what KF means. I don't know. So that's the old packaging, and this is the new packaging. And I don't really like it as well because it doesn't, I don't know, it's just a little, I love these little baggies. Besides, I was able to reuse them. But anyway, that's the way they've gone to this kind of packaging. There's no other, it's only fluorocarbon, so there's no lever gut, petal gut confusion there.
Can I ask a question?
Yes, please.
My name is Connie. It says Constance there, but I'm Connie.
Hi,
Um,
Connie.
Hi. You had said something about that every three has the same gauge on your
Oh,
harps. Do
yes.
you mean I mean, I'm sounding stupid now, but is it like the thickness of them? Is that what you're
Yes,
talking about? Oh,
that's
okay.
exactly right. Yeah,
Okay.
so let's see if I can show you, like, this is string that would be for the highest gauges of the harp. And this is how I get the strings, is in little coils of 25 yards. And then this would be the string for the lowest strings. So there's a big difference in the gauge of the strings. Can you see how thick that is? And your levers are dependent upon the thickness of the gauge of the string. So if you change your strings from, say, nylon to lever gut, the lever gut strings are actually thinner. And so you're probably going to need some lever regulation with that, because when the lever engages your harp, part of what's happening is how thick is this string. And if it's thicker than it was, then the lever is going to push it a little bit harder. Something like that anyway. And if it's thinner, it's going to push it, you have to adjust the lever.
Sharon, I have a question about switching out strings.
Yeah.
Maybe you can expand on this or verify it, or
Yeah, sure. Go ahead.
I can a person change a harp that you buy that's all nylon strung except for the bass wires? Can you switch that nylon harp over to gut? Is that going to damage the harp?
Well, if you were to switch it over to pedal harp, that's a possibility, because when we were building pedal harp string concert gut harps, that's another name for pedal harp, concert gut, we would always make the soundboard a little bit thicker to accommodate the increase in tension. And so if you have a lever harp and if you put one concert gut string on that harp, I would say it's not going to hurt anything. You might need to adjust the lever, maybe, maybe not. But if you were to change out all the strings, you're going to have hundreds of pounds more tension on your harp than you had before. And that could damage the soundboard. It could pull the soundboard right off. I don't know what it would do. But if you change to lever gut, you're going to decrease the tension. So that's a possibility. However, here's the problem, is that the other thing that is relevant in your harp are the string lengths. And if your harp was not designed for lever gut strings, it could be an expensive experiment for you to put lever gut strings on there. They may not sound good. Now, you don't have the same kind of choices in lever gut that you do in nylon, where you can change the gauges. Pretty much lever gut, it's a set. And as far as I know, Bow Brand and Burgundy and whatever other kinds of sets, companies that make gut strings, it's all interchangeable. Mary, would you say that's true?
Yeah, with pedal harp, pedal harps are pedal harps.
Right,
and they really-
exactly.
Yeah, they
And the
really are.
strings are the strings.
Yeah, unless
But-
you've got a really old one, you
Okay.
want to take a chance on, but pedal harps are pedal harps, all those. It's the lever harps that are all over the map. And I'm getting confused just by what you're telling me. And I thought that I knew what I was talking about with strings, but I didn't realize that there were these fluorocarbon and the KF. I didn't know that.
Yeah, well, so many people call them carbon fiber, and maybe it doesn't really matter that much, but it matters to me.
Yeah,
Sharon,
it's a good point.
Sharon,
But-
do you have a micrometer that you can show
Oh,
people?
absolutely.
Because someone, I think Constance, you had a question about what gauge is. You take that string and you put the micrometer on it, and that's how you can tell what gauge the string is. Yeah.
So we call them calipers. And so I don't know how much you'll be able to see here. Oh yeah, you can see it. And so if
Wow.
let me see how I can do this. So if I give it a little bit of space, I must be holding something. There we go. It will measure the
thickness
size
the
of the string.
Mhm.
But one thing, yeah, I have that in my notes. One thing you have to remember, and I'll do this big string, is a couple of things. You have to be really careful to be exactly, let me see, how can I do this so you can see it? Exactly 40.
Move over to your right. Shift over to your
Okay,
right.
thank you. Yeah.
And down and
Okay,
down.
there we
and down,
go.
just a little bit.
Down, is that
Yeah,
good?
there, perfect. Yes,
Okay,
down a little bit more.
I think
There,
that
yes.
says 52. Is that what that
Or
says? To
25.
me, it's,
25.
yeah, well, it must be on. Here, let me try this.
And you can get micrometers.
There
on
it is. Now it's
Amazon.
on 52. I think it was upside down. Oh, I don't know. I can't hold all this.
Yeah, we get it though.
Anyway,
We get
yeah.
it.
So you have to be exactly 90 degrees to it, because if you're this way, then it will read it wrong. The other thing is that if you're trying to figure out what your gauge is on a string that broke, remember that string has stretched. And when it stretches, the
All right.
gauge gets a little bit thinner. And that's why sometimes your harp needs a regulation, and that's why we don't put levers on a harp until it's holding pitch, until those strings are stretching. Or if you're going to have your harp regulated, don't change your strings that day. I have heard people doing that. That string is going to stretch and it's going to put your harp out of regulation. It might be minutely, but it will be. So you want those strings to stretch and be holding pitch before you get it regulated, or for the harp maker before they put the levers on. And so if you measure your string, there in the nylon world, there are, and it's in these notes.
And
I'm
we
pretty sure.
should probably share that. We probably should share that. Don't forget to share that, your notes.
Okay, all right. The gauges, the standard gauges for nylon strings, you don't have to remember this, but I'm going to say them anyway. The smallest would be, well, actually it's 022. I have 020. 025, 028, 032, 036, 040, 045, 050, 055, and 060. There is no 034, or there is no 042. But you might measure your string and it might say 042. That's because it has stretched. So I would say that 042 probably was an 045. The other thing is that the extrusion of the nylon is not that exact. So in one of my coils, I could measure 050 at one end of the coil, and somewhere in the middle it might be 048, or it might be 0452, so it's kind of an approximate thing there.
Sharon, there's a couple of questions.
Okay, good. I don't know if I'm seeing questions. I go to the chat, right? Oh, okay, let's see.
Susan Alger has an antique Clark harp.
Oh yeah, I have one of those.
Yeah, it's over 100 years old. She wants to purchase gut strings. Can you help her purchase the gut strings? What would you tell her to do? I know what I would say, but what would you tell her to do? How would she order strings? Oh, but I have a story about a Clark Irish harp. Someone tried to put pedal harp gut on it.
Oh,
Ah,
And it's, well, yeah, and it did, because, back in those days, those of us who are older, we didn't know. We thought pedal harps were the only things that were available, so people put pedal harp strings on it, everything, and it started to crack. It didn't break, but it started to, you could hear it, so they stopped right away. But yeah, that's horror of horrors. Do not put pedal harp strings on a Clark Irish harp.
Wow.
But Sharon, I'm sorry I
yeah,
interrupted.
okay. I was just reading, somebody wrote up what Fisher put on their website about Koreha, Japan. I'm happy to see that on there. But anyway, back to ordering strings for your Clark harp. I think that you just need to look at what notes are there strings on it? Whose harp?
Susan Elger.
Okay, hi Susan. Yeah, are there strings on it? Oh, I see it right behind you. Take off yourself off mute. Bottom left. Maybe I can.
Okay.
Okay, good.
There are strings on it. I learned how to play the harp on it. I rented it and it had gut and the sound was beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
And then someone else had it and they put nylon strings on
Oh.
it. And obviously the sound's not there. But being older, I was wondering about the tension and
Well, nylon is going to be more tension than the lever gut.
oh, okay. So good.
Except that, well, it depends on what gauges are used.
There you go.
Because
Oh, okay.
we actually at harp number 1561, the nylon harps that we had before that started with gauge 025. And then Lori Riley ordered a harp from us and we restrung it so that it would be lighter. And we started with 022 and we went down. So harps after, if you have nylon harp after number 1561 of Thormahlen, you have the new harp stringing. So it's a lighter tension, probably about the same as lever gut. But I think that you just look at what your top string is.
Okay.
Is it probably an A?
So it's a G.
So the second string is blue?
Yes.
Okay, so you would order G octave 1 down through whatever your last gut string is. What is the lowest gut string you have, or string that is not bass wire?
It's E.
And how many strings does it have?
It has, let's see, I put it in
Like 30.
31.
Okay, so that's probably a, is it the E below middle C?
Okay, C, B, A, G, F. It's the E, yeah.
Just an octave below middle C? No, I bet it's octave 6.
Okay.
Is that gut?
It was done at one time.
I
and
know.
then
Well, so is that low G? Is that a nylon string?
it's a metal string there.
Okay, so what's your last not metal string?
They changed the strings and so they're all nylon now, but we had gut years ago.
How many metal strings do you have?
6.
Your C is a metal string?
Yes.
Okay,
Well, no.
so,
Yeah.
okay. All right, so you'll want to get down to D5,
Okay.
5th octave D up to 1st octave G,
Okay.
and that should work.
And I think, I know I keep interrupting, but I
No,
think
please.
one of the things that's really important is to have a string chart for your harp. And most harp builders will paste it inside of the sound box. But if you don't have a string chart for your harp, then the best thing to do is to get a micrometer and you're gonna have to measure just about every string.
Well, let me
and
go
the vibra-
let me go one string or one step back from there. Depending
okay.
on your harp, Robinson's had a string pattern for every harp that had ever come across their desk. And
Mhm.
Eric Stallings at North Shore Harp has that. So if you have a harp that is a generally common harp, like we just found out there was somebody that was building harps, 20 miles away from us that we've never heard of. His name is Douglas Knight, back 30 years. So probably Robinson's didn't have his string chart. But if you have a triplet or a Blevins or a Heartland or anything, I would check with Eric before I went out and tried to, measure every string and the
Right.
string length and all, to check with Eric to see if he has that string chart for your harp.
Thank
'Cause
Is that in the handout that you, the contact information for that?
I have his
North Shore Strings in Massachusetts, Eric Stallings.
yeah, I have his email in
Okay.
this handout, not about string charts, but just about ordering strings. So his information
And
is there.
have we shared that? Have we shared the handout yet with the
I have
group?
not shared the handout yet. You want me to share the
Yeah.
handout?
Yeah,
Okay.
and while you're doing that, I want to mention something that while you're doing that, my lever harp strings are if you're having to change a string right before a gig or something, or a recital or something like that, you can be kind of frazzled, and you want to be able to find your thing very easily, your strings very easily. And so I use an old-fashioned. Can people see this? Am I on the screen or not?
Yeah, you are.
Yeah,
Yeah, you
let me
are.
see if I can.
Okay, I have a CD case.
Oh,
This is where you would take your CDs out of the little plastic box,
what a
and
great
you would,
idea.
and so you would, and so I have them listed
Very
here.
good.
Now the bigger lower wire strings don't fit into it, and I just have that in a separate pouch. And this is always in my harp pouch, the case, the zipper pouch on the case.
The pocket.
Yeah, thank you. I can't talk, but anyway, I also have for my medieval and Renaissance and harps, they have a special, totally different thing, and I have another one of these things, but instead of one pocket, it's two pockets on each page, and I can see everything at a glance. I can also see what I'm out of stock, what I'm out of
I love
inventory.
that, Therese. That's great.
Now these are harder to find.
I bet they are. Go to
You can find
Goodwill.
them. Yes, exactly. Yes, you can find them at a thrift shop. But that's just one way to keep track of them.
So another way to keep track of them is just to have them in an envelope or something, and put them in a plastic bag and keep them in order. Put a rubber band around it. Keep them in order
right.
so you can look through them quickly and find the strings you want.
And I put in my pedal harp string bag, I have all of the strings of one particular octave in a larger Ziploc bag, and it's labeled first octave.
That's a good idea.
Because you need to be able to find your string right now.
Yeah. So, what was I going to say?
We were talking about the Eric North Shore Strings, Eric Stallings. You were talking about that, and that's when I suggested go ahead and share the handout.
Right. Okay. So I don't know what page we want to be on. Here's where to get strings. I'm hoping that is it possible to email this handout to everybody?
Yeah.
Okay. So you will get the handout
Great.
just as it is here.
Great.
So you don't need to, or you can take a screenshot of it now if you want, whatever you want to do. But I'll get my cursor out of the way for that.
Sharon,
Yeah.
I'd like to ask a question about, you mentioned Eric Stallings and I saw on here vibrating string length, and that brought up another question that I didn't put in my email.
Okay.
But they asked me about my vibrating string length and I had no idea what they were talking about. They asked me to measure from like the top of the soundboard up, they gave me an area to measure, and my husband helped me give them that measurement. It was dramatically different from the measurements that they said they typically use for that range of strings. And I'm hoping I got the right, that was another question.
And that was, who said that?
That was, North Shore Harps.
But
or
you
North
have,
Shore
I see you
Strings.
have a Thormahlen behind you and it's fluorocarbon, isn't it?
Yeah, to Kaylee.
So were you getting strings from them?
Yeah.
Fluorocarbon strings from them?
No, the bass wires.
Oh, the base wires. You didn't
Yeah.
just tell them that you had a Thormahlen?
I did, but they still, someone named Kathy there, she wanted to know my
Oh,
vibrating string length, and she gave me a list of lengths that were.
okay. So here's the
Croutons.
thing with
I
Thormahlen
like
harps. We use the same base wires on all of our harps, whether it's a Swan that's about this much taller,
Mhm.
or it's an MG, which is this harp. So we have,
Yeah.
it works on all our harps.
Okay, because I
And
think they
so
probably
if
cut
they
it
had
back.
longer string lengths, it's because they were looking at the Swan.
Okay, then they might have chopped them down to my measurements. I hope that's not.
Well,
gonna
if
be-
they're long enough to fit on your harp, that's all you care about.
Yeah,
I'm sure that they are.
but I didn't have the 6 inches that you said in that document. I'm just.
Well, but they know
Okay.
that. So the vibrating length is the part that vibrates. So it goes from the bridge pin
Right.
to the soundboard. And
Yeah.
here's a lesson on levers. When you put your lever on, it shortens the string, and that's why it raises the pitch.
Okay.
So now the vibrating length is from the little fret of the lever to the soundboard. And yes, you need extra to put around the tuning pin, and you need extra to tie your knot with.
Yeah, they said it was, the top of the soundboard to the top of the bridge pin is where they asked me to measure.
Yeah. I remember what I was going to say, Therese, when you were talking about your strings. This is kind of a crazy idea, but when I change my strings, which I don't do very often, but people actually come in and we change their strings for them on occasion, I save the old strings. So in my harp case, I have fluorocarbon strings that are used. And if I break a string during a concert, I will put on a used string because it's already stretched, and it will go into pitch way quicker than if I put on a brand new string. So that's kind of a little secret of, string management. If you ever change your strings,
Your old strings are
save
still.
the old ones and put them in the packages so that you know what you have. And if you break a string during a concert and you need to put a new one on, put that used one on. And, you could just use it up until it's done, or you could change it when you get home to
So
a new
I
one.
had that reminds me of a question. So on pedal harps, we are told, always change your nylon strings before you have a regulation, which for those of you who don't know, that's like a tune-up, and it, for various reasons, this doesn't need to be going into right now, but we're told to change our nylon strings because the diameter changes, as you said. And a pedal harp player, a professional orchestral harper, et cetera, harp players will change those strings once a year. And we
Okay.
often recommend to students, you don't need to spend, students, you're not playing as much as a professional, you don't pull the strings as hard, change them every two years. But I have never gotten a definitive answer from any lever harp builder before. How often should I change
I will give you my definitive answer, and strike me down if, so many people disagree with me. Some people will call me and they say, I need a whole new set of strings because I'm going to change them. And they've had their harp for 2 or 3 years or whatever, or even 10 years. And I say, why are you doing this? And they'll say, my teacher said I have to. And I said, well, do you like the sound of your harp? If you like the sound of your harp, then I say, leave it alone. The strings are holding pitch. You probably don't have to tune it when you sit down to play. If you change your strings, first of all, if you're going to do the changing of the strings, it's probably going to take you 3 days. It takes me a movie to change a set of strings. because I've changed thousands. I can do it really quickly. But most people, it's so frustrating for them. Then it's going to be about 3 or 4 months before your harp is really holding pitch like it was before. So, Therese, my recommendation is usually if you like the sound of your harp, leave it alone. Don't change the strings. Change the ones that break.
I have a question.
Yeah.
In regards to the pedal harp, Therese was talking about, do you change your metal wires at the same time, or do you give those a time to adjust before you put in your gut and your nylon?
Therese, are you listening?
I'm sorry. No, I'm sorry. I
That
thought
was
you
a
were
question
addressing.
to
That's
you.
okay. Somebody,
Okay, say it again, please.
okay, what I said was, if your harp's been sitting for a while and you go through like 3 or 4 months where you're not playing as much, but you know it's time to change strings, do you suggest doing the wire strings, the bass strings at an earlier time and then doing the gut and the nylon? I just curious. It's not that there's a perfect answer, but I just wanted to know.
Oh, are you talking about pedal harp or lever
I'm
harp?
talking about pedal 47.
Okay.
Yeah,
Now, if a harp hasn't been touched for 4 months, I'm not going to bother to change the strings.
right.
That's not necessary. And usually, the bass wires, um, um, there's only like one harp regulator that I trust to change my bass wires because I'm very fussy. I'm a
Right.
control freak about it.
I
And
believe you.
I change my bass wires, and then that's enough, unless I've paid Peter Wiley to do it for me.
Right.
But like changing your bass wires, you need to have a rest after that, personally.
Right. Right.
And
I don't understand that.
I've never changed them all at once. I've never changed them all at once.
I
And
haven't.
I'm
usually,
going to give you guys a little lesson on changing bass wires. So here's what
pedal or
I
lever?
do.
On pedal or
Well,
lever.
I don't know. I don't know enough about pedal harps to know how
So
this
it's just lever.
matters.
You're talking about lever harp.
But
Yeah.
I'm going to talk about lever harps. So
Hey, Sharon, could you stop sharing your screen so we can
yes.
see you bigger?
Oh, yeah, for sure. How do I do that? Up here, stop
Up
sharing.
at the top.
Okay,
There
I
we
got
go.
it, right?
I can see
We
you better
good?
now.
Okay,
Yeah.
good. Sorry about that. I'm not seeing what you're seeing, so I didn't know. Okay, so if I had this strung through here, through my harp, which I can't because I have other, and the string goes up. Let's see. So the string is, say, 6 inches longer. Oh, you still can't see the top of mine.
Yeah,
That's good. We can see it.
Okay, so
Good.
there.
yeah, we see. Yeah.
Okay, all right, you can see that. So I will cut it off about 3 inches higher than the string. I've got the string pulled up tight through the tuning pin. Cut it off about 3 inches higher, and then push it back through, and then just kind of bend it over and wind it up. Well, push it through almost all the way so that it's flush with the hole. And that way you have no sharp edges on your bass wires, rather than pulling it through. Well, you don't want to pull it through and start winding it when it's tight. You want to give it some slack. So you want to give it 2.5 inches to 3 inches of slack. And then if you tune it up and then cut it off, you're going to have sharp edges. Do you know what I mean?
Yep.
Does that make sense?
Yep, we got it. I think
Okay,
we got it.
good. All right, very good. That's just a little aside about bass wires.
And I
Oh,
was.
let me finish saying about changing nylons. I'm usually, nobody likes to change strings. Nobody likes to change strings. And
I'm
I
fine
would
with
probably do it like a week an octave at a time. Partly because I wouldn't want the frustration of having the whole harp tune out of tune when I'm practicing and working on stuff. So that's up to you whether you do them all ways. Now, some people might take off an octave worth of strings. And if you do that, fine. Just make sure that when you come out of the soundboard and you go up to your bridge pin, make sure you go up into the right bridge pin. Ask me how I know this. Okay, so just saying, focus.
Yes, I concur with that. But I do
Yeah.
that. I do an octave at a time when I'm changing strings.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. But there's certain strings, like I think I saw something in passing. I can't really see people's messages because I'm on my phone, but I understand that one of the benefits of, and maybe somebody can talk more about this, fluorocarbon strings. You really don't have they don't have the same amount of breakage that gut or nylon even has, and that you don't really need to change them as often as you
Which
might
kind of
want to change
strings?
nylon. The fluorocarbon.
Absolutely. That's exactly right. And they hold their pitch really well. I see somebody here says, we left my bass strings a few inches long because we didn't want the risk of them falling apart. So if you were going to cut, so these are bass wires and they're Reese strings. Are they nylon? Who said that? That was Karen Fowler. Where are you, Karen?
Yeah,
There
but
you are.
the bottom wound strings like that come from that Dusty Strings uses, for instance, you would not want to cut it below the winding. This is not like the pedal harp bass wires, or like the bass wires you use, Sharon. If you cut those type of things, it's not going to unwind, but the nylon overwrap
Right, for
will
wound
start
nylon,
unspiral.
definitely. Wound nylon, you
Yeah.
don't want to, you actually, it's really, you don't want to have too many wound nylon wraps on here. So if your wound nylon is going through the tuning pin and you've got extra wound nylon, your string is too long. They're putting too many
Yeah.
winds on that string. You mostly
You
want the
hear me?
windings to go as far as the lever, or maybe above the bridge pin. I'm not sure exactly. I think we kind of have it. I'm looking at a nylon string over there. Somewhere around the bridge pin is where you want the windings to end. But I don't know.
You can't hear me, can you?
Yeah, we can
I
hear
heard
you.
somebody. Yeah.
Oh, great. My camera's not working. I don't know why.
Is this Karen?
Because I'm in black. Yes, yes.
Okay.
I'd take my computer to the harp and let you see it. But it is nylon, or they are nylon, and it's wound nylon. And there's probably, I don't know, 4 or 5 inches, and it's above the harp itself. I don't have levers yet. It's a homemade harp. My husband made it for me. So they're
And where
just,
did you
we've
get
just
the
got them
strings?
ordered
Where did you get
from
the
Reese
strings? From where?
online, from Reese
From Reese.
Harps.
So I'm guessing that they just sent you strings that they have and use, and that the harp that you have, the string lengths are wildly different than the strings that they use on the harp that they go to.
These strings come extra long, and then we cut them to fit for the note that we're trying to, for the right pitch.
Yeah. Well, probably if your husband continues to make harps, he should get strings made specifically for that harp. And I would go to Eric at North Shore, and you would give him the string lengths and the note name, and he could put together a proper string for that note. Because what you're using is
Okay.
not really the strings made for your harp. They're just strings that Reese had, is my guess. Because why would
Oh,
you
but it
have
sounds so
strings that go
beautiful.
up that high? What?
Well, it's just those lower strings, and they
Yeah,
really
well,
do
if
work for the harp.
if it's working, then that's great.
Okay.
Then no problem.
But as far as cutting them though,
Well,
that
I
sounds like
think
a
you're
bad
right.
idea.
I'm not gonna suggest that you cut those strings, because I would hate for them to unwind, like you said.
Yeah.
I don't
Yeah.
know. I would have to see it to really know, and
Just
then I might not
Yeah.
know anyway.
a fun fact from like 100 years ago, if you look at pictures of harpists from like 100 years ago, you will see um, the coil of the string on the top at the neck. And I'm talking about pedal harp, because harpists didn't trim the string, and many times, especially nylon, you can get at least two strings out of it, and they would just coil it up there. And if the string broke lower, as
Mhm.
opposed up at the bridge pin,
Mhm.
you would just pull it through and tie a knot in it. And but you'll see in the old pictures, you see all
Yeah.
these coils. And another thing, at the beginning, I talked about how we had to order when I was a kid. When I started Harp in '68, we had to order strings from New York, and we had a thing that if your gut string had not come in stock, or sometimes gut strings, you could put one on a pedal harp, which has higher tension than lever harp, and it can break. And so my teacher insisted that we always have two of each string in case that happened. But if you didn't have the replacement string, we had a thing where you would patch the string, and there was a specific, you would save your old fat strings, and you could only use something that was fatter than your original string, and you would have a special double knot that you tie on, and then it had to be above the bridge pin, and it sounded hideous. And the string did not last long, but it would get you through until your replacement string came in the mail. So things have come
Amazing.
a long way. Yeah.
Okay, a couple of things. If your string breaks at the soundboard, one thing is that it's possible that the grommet that is through the soundboard might be a little bit long or something, and it might be, so if you use a leather washer or something between the string knot and the soundboard to make it so that whatever was sharp in there, I mean, if that was the reason that it broke. So that's one thing. The other thing is that if you have enough windings on here on your tuning pin, sometimes you can just turn that string upside down, tie your knot with the string that was up here, and maybe it's long enough that you can reuse it. So that's just another little secret of strings. And somebody wrote on here about fluorocarbon strings and the fading colors. That happens to me too. And I think that it's the oils in our skin, because it doesn't happen to everybody. So what I do is I have a red and blue Sharpie, and I just color the string. It would really be good. I have never done this, but I want to put like a cut mark in that Sharpie so that I can actually put the string through there and go down.
That's a good
my
idea.
string. Yeah.
Now,
so-
you do not, so on my historical harps, I use gut strings. And so frequently, the strings that I'm putting on these harps, because of the different diameters, I don't have a red C or a blue F. And so I use an oil paint pen because it lasts longer than the Sharpie does. Now, it does change the timbre of the note a little bit,
Interesting.
but you do not need to color it
Right.
all the way, because look at your harp and look, where do your eyes land when you're playing? You just need to color that part. You don't need to color the backside, whether you're using
Right.
an oil paint pen or a Sharpie.
Right.
And listen, I have to go because I have a meeting I have to get ready for. And so Mary's going to continue
Okay.
with thank you, Sharon. And
You
thank you,
bet.
everybody. I have to run.
All right.
Okay, bye-bye.
Bye.
I actually need to go soon as well. Can I ask you a question?
Yes, please.
Okay, hi, I'm Lila, and I've had one of your Thormahlen harps since 1996.
I recognize your name.
Yeah, I love it. I've had it for ages, and I just want to be very clear when once you and David retire, that I do order the correct strings for my harp. So I have a Swan 36. I got it from Sylvia Wood's shop, and she, I guess, had some that were strung with pedal harp tension.
Right. Okay.
And it's a mix of gut and nylon and the wire wrapped. So that's a lot. And I'm not sure exactly what I need to tell the person when I need to order strings.
So do you know for sure that it's a concert gut strung?
Yes, I
Pedal
believe
gut?
I found the original paperwork.
Okay. Well, your
Yeah,
top
I have
five
the-
strings, your
I
top
also
five
have the-
strings are the ones that are nylon, just the top five. And we did
Okay.
that because we thought that the gut strings were just too thin or something. So we decided to do nylon at the top. The top three are 025 and your next two are 028. And then you just get the pedal gut set down to fifth octave C. And then you have the bass wires, which you have to get from Eric at North Shore.
Okay. And you would recommend that I continue using the gut? Would it be bad
Well,
to put the nylon in place of the gut?
it wouldn't hurt the harp, but because we built the soundboard a little bit thicker, you might not get the sound out of it that you would want with nylon. Although nylon does have more tension than lever gut, it doesn't quite have as much tension as pedal gut.
Okay.
Why would you want to change it to nylon?
I think it was because, you know, they were expensive, the gut strings were expensive, and they also would break more quickly.
Have they been breaking?
Not necessarily, you know,
Uh-huh.
I guess I couldn't really say. I've had it almost 30 years, so I've only replaced ones here and there. I've never replaced a whole set even,
So,
and it stays in
see,
tune.
See, my experience of gut and nylon, I once kept track. And to 25 nylon strings that I broke, I only broke about 2 gut.
Mm.
So I think that
Oh.
sometimes it's dependent on where you live. Like I've heard that people in Florida have more string breakage with gut. But my experience was not that gut broke more. My experience is that nylon breaks more.
Okay.
So I don't know. I would stick with the gut that you have. Do
Okay.
you have the same strings that you've had for 30 years on your harp?
Some of them, I
Yeah.
think.
I
I'm
love
not
it.
even sure how to tell anymore. It's been so long.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mm.
Okay. Well, that's good. If you
Okay,
like
thank
the sound of your harp, then just leave it alone.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I don't want to change out the whole set.
I see somebody says, do strings have a shelf life? That's kind of a hard question to
Yes.
answer, isn't it?
I can answer that question.
Okay. All right.
You know, owning a harp store, we've had a lot of harps come in from people who have passed away. And I think that some of well, we had some harp strings, remember when they were red? When the C's were green, F's were lavender, and all the rest of the strings were red. And that was when I was in high school and earlier than that. But I mean, I have put on strings that were, I know that were probably 35, 40 years old, and they were fine.
Good.
So
I'm glad to hear that, Mary.
I know, and I know that other people will be, oh, what a shock. But
Yeah, yeah, yeah. You know
I've
what
done
I recommend to people, if they have an extra string set and they're going to use it to replace the strings on their harp, and then they're going to buy another set to have
To
as
have this-
replacements. I generally tell them, you know, buy the new set, put the new set on, keep your replacements as replacements. So I know you can get more than one string out of some of those strings, so maybe you don't have to buy the whole set, but that's what I usually recommend. Put on the new strings, keep your old strings as your extra set.
And a lot of those old strings were double length.
Yeah,
'Cause
exactly.
that's what they did back then, you know.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, everybody,
I
it is
ask- oh, I'm
four,
sorry.
it's 4:07. And normally we go for about an hour. Do we have any other questions? What we can do is, if you have more questions, you can email them to me and I can give them to Sharon. But does anyone have a short question?
Yes,
Lori?
Yes,
Laura.
thank you. I'm the one who asked about the shelf life, because I've had my Lion and Healy Troubadour harp for like 45 years, and I've got strings that go with it. I hardly played until the pandemic came. So I haven't regulated my harp, I haven't changed the strings, and I've got all the, a whole set of replacement strings. Do I need to replace them
So
because
did
it's
you
been
hear,
so long.
did you hear the question about, do you like the way your harp sounds?
Yes, I
Do you
did.
like the way your
So,
harp sounds?
yes.
Then don't do
So,
anything.
so when I bring my harp to get regulated, I can tell her I don't want to change any strings
That's
unless there's a
right.
sound issue or, okay.
That's what I would do. Therese had mentioned that you change your strings before you get a regulation. Well, you definitely would change your strings before you get a regulation rather than after you get a regulation. But I don't necessarily think that you need to change your strings in order to get a regulation.
I guess that's my question, because it is, everybody's talking about the expense. It's
And
quite a
also,
bit.
the regulation, if you notice that your harp is out of tune when you put your levers up, then you need a regulation. But if your harp is, if it is in tune in all the keys that you play in, then you're probably okay. And you can check, because what you would do is you would put your tuner on your harp, play the F note, then put the F sharp up, play the note, and see if it's, pretty close
Yes.
into true sound. If it, and I mean, you could do that with all the levers. That's how you know whether it needs a regulation.
Such
You
a
know, that's what
practical.
a regulator would do.
Yeah, great. Thank you. That's perfect. Thank you.
Somebody asked about silk gut compare with fluorocarbon. I really have not seen the silk gut, so I don't know. Try it, see what you think, and then let us all know.
Okay, well, thank you, everyone. This was very informative. I think we got off track a little bit, but I think that this is a
It all
topic.
fits.
This is a topic that we could talk on and on and on about, and everyone should know about strings. I mean, we play the harp. Our strings are exposed. We need to know what kind of strings and how to replace them and how to order. So Sharon, thank you so much. Sharon has a handout. I also have a handout that I will send to you, and I'll do a follow-up. I got a new computer, so I don't know if I'm going to be able to do the follow-up tonight, but I will try. But thank you very much. Does anyone have one other quick question? And if not, we can just say thank you and
Yeah.
stop the.
I had asked in the chat, but are you guys going to be sending us a copy of the recording?
Yes, I always do. I always do a follow-up with and also the recordings are on the folkharp.com. If you look in, there's a Harp Teachers Gathering link at the top, and all of our recordings from all of the Harp Teachers Gatherings are there right now, except for this one because we're not done yet. So I will definitely get those up.
Would you have all of our email addresses?
I do. I have them all from the Zoom. I have to copy them and put them in another database. That's what takes me a long time because I forget how to do it a lot. So but
Like changing strings.
Yeah, thank you so much.
I'll get that done. Thank you all for coming. It was very well attended. Appreciate it so much. And I'll do a follow-up. Thank you, Sharon, so much. Thank you.
And if anybody has any comments about how this went or what could make it better or what you liked about it, what you learned, I'd love to hear those kind of things.
And Sharon, what's your email address? Can you just speak it real quick?
Yes, harps@thorharp.com.